How about it, y'all? You got Hawg. So, season 27 in Diablo 3, it's almost over, starting to wind to an end. We really don't have an official end yet, but usually this is the time where people start pushing leaderboards, people start doing solo GRs. Um, so, the question pops up about pylons. If you're a new player or not a super advanced player, you may not understand how pylons work. So, we're going to touch on the basics of pylon mechanics, how pylons work, how pylons spawn, their duration, etc., etc. So, before we get into it, hit like, hit subscribe, turn the bell on. We got tons of Diablo 3 content, and we got a great clan, Plebs for Life, on there if you want to hop over and join it. But let's get into it.
Warning: the following content is not provided by an elite gamer. It is provided by the mouth from the south.
The mouth from the south.
The mouth from the south.
The mouth from the south. I done told you I ain't from the damn mountain. Alright, so here's some basic rules of the pylons. Okay, if you played Diablo 3 for a while, you already understand this, but let's just touch on these real quick. All pylons have an equal chance to appear. So there's not one that's better than the other one. You're not going to see more shields than you are condies or whatever. The pylon spawn locations, they're fixed, meaning there's multiple ones in the map, but they're all fixed in a certain area depending on the layout that spawn. So once you play the game long enough, you'll understand the different layouts of different levels. Like Festering Woods has a couple different layouts, and you'll know where the pylon spawns are on that area. All right, they do not spawn in explored areas. So if you've already explored that area of the map, it's not just going to magically spawn. It spawns in unexplored areas. So the more progress you have, the higher the chance you have for one to spawn. So you're just about guaranteed a minimum of 2 per rift. So when you come into the rift, there's a 1% chance that it can spawn, and it goes linearly up to 50% of rift completion. So technically, before 50% rift completion, you should have a pylon. And then once you get that pylon, it resets. So you're back to 1% until you get to the end of the rift. So, like I said, 2 per rift, a maximum of 4. Even though there's 5 pylons, you can only get 4. And like I said earlier, pylons, they spawn off screen in the fog of war. So if you're going around checking the explored map for more pylons, it's not going to happen. All right, now different types of pylon. There's 5. Okay. Your first one's going to be your shield. What the shield does, it makes you immune to damage. It makes you immune to crowd control effects. And it lasts 60 seconds. Then you have your channeling. Your channeling pylon, it reduces your resource cost to 100%. And it reduces your cooldowns to 75%. It also has a 30-second duration. So there's a lot of misconception about channeling. If you're running a wizard star pack, it is beneficial to you. A lot of people think it's not. The reason that it is because it reduces your resource cost 100%. And if you look at the way star pack works, your damage is increased based on the amount of available arcane power that you have. So if the resource cost is reduced by 100%, you technically have more mana pool. Okay, even though it doesn't look that way, your skill cost is basically cut in half. So, see what I'm saying? Your damage will do more. I believe Maxwell says it's 8% for resource cost, but it is a kind of a hidden damage multiplier. Then you have a conduit. This is everybody's favorite. It releases lightning from your character, and it scales with the difficulty. So once you're at 150, it's really nice against, elites, but they kind of nerf it on the Rift Guardian. It also has a 30-second duration. Then you have your speed pylon. Movement speed is increased 100%. Attack speed is increased 30%. And you also move unhindered through all of the enemies, and there's also no crowd control, I believe. This one has a 60-second duration as well. There's two of these that have 60-second durations. That's the shield and the speed, which that shield 60 seconds is absolutely amazing. Now, just a note, a lot of times you're not going to take speed in a 4-man 150 unless your barbarian says it's okay, because it does interfere with his ability to pull the monsters. So just take aware of that. Don't take the speed unless the barbarian gives you the okay, or unless he teleports to town and then you take it while he's out of town. Because that is a key thing that I left out with the rules. Everybody has to be on the same page, same level, to get the effects of the pylon. And then our last one is power. It is a 250% damage multiplier and lasts 30 seconds. Now, something to note about these pylon. If you're wearing a flavor of time, which if you're doing 4-man meta, your support character is wearing this, it will double the duration. Okay, so your shield pylon will last 120 seconds, your channeling will last 30 or 60 seconds, your conduit will last 60 seconds, etc., etc. All right, and then our pylon strategy. Okay, so you want to make sure that you get a good pull around the pylon. Even if you're playing solo, you want to kite around and try to make sure you get it to where they're set up close to that pylon. If it's a conduit, okay, you're going to want to use that for elites. So perfect example would be 4-man meta. You've got 2 wizards. They're killing all the trash. If you've got a monster pull, you're going to want to make sure that you kill most of the trash first and then take the conduit. And the reason is you don't want the conduit hitting all the trash. You want the conduit hitting the elites, the champions, whatever you've got, the blues, the yellows, all of that. So use that for elites. You want to use shield and power when you are at your strongest. So meaning right before your cycle hits. So if you're playing 4-man meta and you're a wizard and let's say you have your ZDH, he's waiting to take the shield, you're actually going to look at your convention of elements cycle and wait till right before your arcane comes up or whatever your power element is. And then you'll tell ZDH, okay, take right when your cycle comes in and you're good. It's especially important on the power. So you don't want to be taking power when you're, 20 seconds away from your cycle. It just doesn't make sense, and you're going to lose half of the pylon. You want to be able to be as efficient as you can with the pylons. Shield is not as critical. Sometimes you just take it to get your squirts back up or whatever. But remember, you're immune to all damage. You cannot take damage with the shield. So you could actually stand in the middle of explosions and be fine. This is not a rule, but on average, what you see is 10 to 25% progression between your pylons. So if you come in the rift, usually about 25%, you'll see your first one. So you take, let's say, shield, and then you're going to work again till you get to about 50%, and then you'll get another one, and then you're going to work up again till you get about 75, and this brings us to the next one. Once you're at 95% and you have not seen your pylon spawn on the map that you're on, you need to stop doing damage and move. And I know that sounds crazy, but you need to do it. You could get a chance. Let's say you've had channeling and you've had shield and you've had a condi and you're at 95% and you're already towards the end of your map. You could kill the rest of the pack and not have a pylon at all, or you could go ahead and go to the next map and take the chance, because that's a whole new map that hasn't been explored. And if you remember what we talked about last slide or the slide before, it doesn't spawn in an area you've already explored. So you have that whole map at the sacrifice of time on the clock, but you have that whole map to get another pylon. And I've seen it numerous times where, just like I said, we had a shield and a channeling and a condi, and then we took a gamble, went to the next map, and we got a power. And so what we did there, okay, here's another little trick. You want to save the power in pylon. Wow. The power in condi is what that's supposed to say. If it's a power or a conduit at the last second, you want to save it for the guardian. Okay, so what we've done is we left that pack on, let's say, level 3 at 95%. And we went to level 4, we found a power pylon. So now we can actually all go back to level 3, go back to that pack that we already had that we left, kill it, hit 100%, go to the next rift or the next level. The guardian will follow you there, and then you can take the power pylon. Now, keep in mind, you do not want your ZDH or whoever is wearing Nemesis bracers to touch that pylon after the guardian has spawned. Now, sometimes you do, depending on if you want a wizard that, if you have a wizard that needs the ads or whatever. But as a general rule of thumb, you want somebody that's not wearing NIMS to take that last pylon if it's after the guardian has spawned. So, now keep in mind, the pylon will not spawn after the guardian has. So, that's the fine, delicate dance you have to do. You have to stop at 95, go look for your last one, see if you can get it, kill your trash, because the pylon's already spawned at that point. So it's not going to go away once the Rift Guardian comes in. It's just not going to spawn after he's there. Okay? So, without going too crazy, that's really the main strategy you got to think about is, if I've had 3 or if I've had 2 and I need one more and I'm at 95%, let's stop and see if we can go to the next map and find another one. So, anyway, I hope that helps out. I'm trying to keep it short and sweet. That way you don't have to thumb through a crazy amount of time to get this video done, okay? I appreciate all y'all watching. Make sure to subscribe if you have not subscribed. And if you need a good clan to run with, Plebs for Life, Diablo 3, we are extremely active, and we have a badass Discord community. It is in the link below in my description. We'd love to have you join in. We are very friendly. There's always people in voice chat. We do have a Diablo 3 console section. So there's all kind of resources there for you. And we have players from, close to 8,000 Paragon all the way down to 500. So we can get you done whatever skill level you are. But I appreciate y'all. We'll see you next time.